Democrats' hope for redistricting could leave a lot of confusion amongst the dozens of candidates who have already launched midterm campaigns. Questions linger over which districts they'll actually be running in and who their opponents will be. Avery Davis is live in the newsroom with how this could impact Central Virginia. Good evening, Avery.
Yeah, in the 5th and 6th districts, half a dozen Democrats have thrown their hat in the ring for Congress, with each Republican incumbent, John McGuire in the 5th and Ben Cline in the 6th, seeking re-election too. Redrawn lines could shake all of that up.
Not clear who the candidates will be, and frankly, where some of them would even run.
This is Virginia's current congressional map, and this is what Democrats are looking to pass through an April referendum, should the state Supreme Court allow it.
The manner in which these boundaries have been drawn, some of them seem to resemble squashed insects on windscreens.
The new map would move the 5th district southeast. The 6th would absorb Charlottesville, Albemarle, and Roanoke.
You have this unanticipated consequence that Beth Macy and Tom Perriello, the two most robust fundraisers for Congress, are lumped in the same district.
Tom Perriello is a Charlottesville Democrat and former 5th District congressman who was running for his old seat. Should the proposed map take effect, he'll pivot his campaign.
District lines change, but my priorities don't. But it is an opportunity, I think, to think more about how Lynchburg and Charlottesville can be working in regional development strategies with the Valley.
Beth Macy is a Roanoke author making her political debut as a Democrat candidate for the 6th. In a social media post, Macy said she was ready to take on Representative Ben Cline, a Republican, long before redistricting reared its head. Incumbent Cline believes the whole attempt is wrong.
Gerrymandering is wrong no matter what state does it, and Virginia is so concerned about gerrymandering, they put it in the Constitution that we're going to have nonpartisan redistricting. These other states do it all the time, but it doesn't mean that Virginia has to go down that road.
We reached out to current 5th District Congressman John McGuire multiple times to hear what his plan is, and he was not available to talk. 5th District Democrat candidate and Albemarle supervisor Mike Pruitt also declined to make public comment for now. Live in the newsroom, Avery Davis, 29 News at 6.